Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is something most women never truly understand. You don't make a man miss you by chasing him. You don't make a man cry over you by begging for his attention. And you definitely don't make him value you by being available every single time he snaps his fingers. See, the real power comes when you learn how to step back. When a man knows you're always there, no matter how he treats you, he gets comfortable, and comfort without effort kills appreciation. But the moment you start valuing your time, your energy, and your peace, something shifts. Now he notices. Now he wonders. Now he feels your absence. Let me tell you something. Men are built to respond to what they can lose, not what they already have locked down. When you stop over-explaining, stop over-giving, and stop over-chasing, you create space. And in that space, his mind starts to work. He starts remembering your smile. He starts missing your presence. He starts questioning his own actions. But here's the truth most women miss. This is not about playing games. This is about knowing your worth so deeply that you refuse to be treated as an option. When you walk away from disrespect, you're not losing. You teaching him what it costs to lose you. And if he really cares, he'll feel it deeply. He'll feel it in the silence. He'll feel it in your absence. He'll feel it when no one else replaces what you brought into his life. And that's when a man starts to miss you so much, it hurts. But listen, this only works if it's real. You can't fake confidence. You can't pretend self-respect. You have to become the woman who knows, I am not chasing love. I am attracting it. So instead of asking, how do I make him miss me? Start asking, am I living a life that makes my absence powerful? Because when you do that, you don't have to force anything. When a woman starts chasing a man, she unknowingly shifts the balance of power in a relationship. Chasing isn't always obvious. It doesn't just mean calling him nonstop or begging for attention. Sometimes it looks like always being the first to text, always making yourself available, always adjusting your schedule, or constantly trying to prove your worth to him. And here's the truth. When you are constantly trying to prove your value, you are silently telling him that he doesn't already see it. Men are naturally drawn to what feels valuable, and value is often tied to effort and mystery. If everything about you is easily accessible, predictable, and always available, there's no emotional tension, no curiosity, no sense of earning you. Attraction fades when effort disappears. This is why chasing often backfires. It removes the very thing that creates desire. Now, attracting is different. Attracting means you focus on your life, your purpose, your growth, and your happiness. It means you don't center your world around a man. You invite him into your world. That shift alone changes everything. Instead of asking, why isn't he calling me? Your mindset becomes, do I even have time for someone who isn't consistent? That's power. When you stop chasing, you naturally create space. And in that space, a man begins to feel something he didn't feel before, your absence. And absence, when combined with genuine value, creates emotional impact. He starts to notice that you're not always there. He starts to wonder what you're doing, who you're with, and why you're not reaching out like you used to. That curiosity is the beginning of him moving towards you instead of you running after him. But here's where many women get it wrong. They think stop chasing means playing games. It's not about ignoring him to manipulate him. It's about genuinely redirecting your energy back to yourself. When you're busy building your life, improving yourself, and protecting your peace, you don't have the time or emotional space to chase anyone. And that authenticity is what makes it powerful. Attraction is rooted in confidence, not loud, fake confidence, but quiet, grounded self-respect. It's knowing that you bring something meaningful into a man's life, but also knowing that your life is complete with or without him. That energy is magnetic. People can feel it. A man can sense when you're not desperate for his attention, and that makes him more interested in earning yours. Another important part of attracting is setting standards without saying a word. When you stop tolerating inconsistency, stop responding to bare minimum effort, and stop overextending yourself, you communicate something very clearly. Access to you is earned, not given freely. And when a man realizes that, he either steps up or he steps out. Either way, you win. Because the goal isn't to chase someone into loving you. The goal is to become the kind of woman whose presence is felt and whose absence is noticed. When you stop chasing and start attracting, you're no longer trying to convince someone to see your value. You're allowing them to experience it, and if they don't, you're strong enough to walk away. Most people don't understand the power of absence until it's too late. When you are constantly present in someone's life, always available, always responding, always giving your time and energy, you become predictable. And when something becomes predictable without effort, it often becomes taken for granted. That's just human nature. Think about it like this. When something is always there, you don't stop to appreciate it. But the moment it's gone, or even slightly out of reach, your awareness sharpens. You start noticing what you lost. You start remembering how it made you feel. That's exactly how emotional value works in relationships. When a woman is always around, always checking in, always making things easy for a man, he doesn't feel the need to step up. Not because he's a bad person, but because there's no urgency. There's no fear of losing her. And without that emotional tension, his investment stays low. But the moment you create distance, real, genuine distance, not games, something shifts inside him. Now your absence starts speaking louder than your presence ever did. He notices the silence where your messages used to be. He notices the space where your energy used to fill the room. He notices that something important is missing, and that something is you. Absence forces reflection. When you're not constantly there to remind him of your value, his mind has to do the work. He starts replaying memories. He starts thinking about your laugh, your support, your presence. And here's the key. People often realize the value of something only when they no longer have easy access to it. But this only works if your presence had real value to begin with. If you were kind, supportive, genuine, and brought positive energy into his life, your absence will feel like a loss. If you were constantly overgiving without being appreciated, your absence still creates a shift, but now it becomes a wake-up call. However, let's be clear, absence is not about disappearing to manipulate someone. It's about withdrawing your energy from a place where it is not being valued. There's a difference. One is a game, the other is self-respect. When you step back, you're not punishing him. You're protecting yourself. You're saying without words, if I'm not appreciated here, I will not stay here, and that message carries weight. Now, some men will respond immediately. They'll feel the change, recognize your value, and try to reconnect. Others might take longer, and some won't respond at all. But here's the truth. You're not creating absence to control his reaction. You're creating absence to reclaim your worth. Because if it takes your absence for someone to recognize your value, then your presence was being overlooked. And that's where your power lies, not in forcing someone to care, but in knowing when to step back and let them feel what life is like without you. Absence creates clarity, not just for him, but for you too. It shows you who truly values you and who only appreciated your convenience. So instead of trying harder, giving more, or chasing attention, sometimes the strongest move you can make is to step back and let your absence do the talking. One of the biggest misunderstandings in relationships is this idea that giving more automatically makes someone value you more. It sounds right on the surface. Be more available, be more loving, be more patient, and he'll appreciate you. But in reality, it often works the opposite way. When there is no risk of losing you, there is no pressure to step up. Respect is deeply connected to consequences, not punishment, not manipulation, but real consequences. If a man believes that no matter what he does, you'll always stay, always forgive, always be there, then your presence becomes guaranteed. And anything that feels guaranteed often loses its urgency and importance. Now, this doesn't mean men consciously think, I don't value her. It's more subtle than that. It's about emotional wiring. People naturally invest more in things they could lose. Think about anything valuable in life, opportunities, careers, even friendships. When there's a real chance it could slip away, attention increases, effort increases, care increases. The same applies in relationships. When a man knows that have standards, that you won't tolerate disrespect, and that you are fully capable of walking away, something changes in how he approaches you. He becomes more mindful, more intentional, more careful with your feelings and your time. Not out of fear in a negative sense, but out of awareness that you are not someone he can take lightly. But here's where it gets important. This only works if your willingness to walk away is real. You can't bluff self-respect. You can't pretend you'll leave if deep down you know you won't. People can feel that energy. If you say, I'm done, but then stay every time, your words lose weight. And over time, so does his respect. Real power comes from alignment between your words and your actions. When you say you won't accept something and you actually stand by it, you create a boundary. And boundaries are what define value. A man respects a woman who respects herself, not because she's difficult, not because she's cold, but because she knows where she stands. She doesn't beg for attention. She doesn't compete for love. She doesn't stay where she's not valued. And that kind of energy forces a man to either rise to her level or walk away. And here's the truth. If he walks away because you have standards, he was never going to respect you in the first place. So you didn't lose anything. You revealed the reality. Now, when a man realizes he can lose you, it triggers something deeper. He starts evaluating his behavior. He starts asking himself if he's doing enough. He starts recognizing your importance, not just as someone who's there, but as someone who could be gone. That's when effort shows up. That's when consistency improves. That's when he begins to value what you bring emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually into his life. But again, this is not about threatening to leave or creating drama. It's about living in a way where your presence is a privilege, not an obligation. It's about carrying yourself with the understanding that you are not dependent on anyone to feel complete. When you embody that mindset, you don't have to say much. Your actions speak for you. Your boundaries speak for you. Your willingness to walk away speaks for you. And in that space, respect naturally grows. Because at the end of the day, people don't truly value what they think they can never lose. But when they realize you're not afraid to choose yourself, that's when they start choosing you differently. Everything in a relationship starts with how you see yourself. Not how you look, not how much you give, not how hard you try, but how deeply you believe in your own value. Because whether you realize it or not, people don't just respond to what you say, they respond to what you believe about yourself. If you constantly question your worth, you will tolerate behavior that reflects that doubt. You'll accept late replies, inconsistent effort, broken promises, and emotional distance because somewhere inside, you're hoping that if you just try a little harder, give a little more, or stay a little longer, things will change. But the truth is, when you don't fully value yourself, you unintentionally teach others not to value you either. Self-worth is not about arrogance. Self-worth is not about arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about having a quiet, unshakable belief that you deserve respect, consistency, honesty, and effort without having to beg for it. It's about knowing that your presence in someone's life is meaningful. And if that meaning is not recognized, you have the strength to step away. This is where many women struggle. They confuse love with sacrifice. They think loving someone means tolerating everything, being patient through everything, and staying no matter what. But real self-worth draws a line. It says, I can care about you, but I will not lose myself trying to keep you. When you truly know your worth, your behavior changes naturally. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop chasing clarity from someone who is giving you confusion. You stop trying to convince someone to treat you right. Instead, you observe, you watch actions, and you respond accordingly. And here's the powerful part. You don't have to announce your worth. You don't have to say, I'm a high-value woman every 5 minutes. It shows in your standards. It shows in your boundaries. It shows in what you accept and what you walk away from. A woman with self-worth doesn't panic when a man pulls away. She doesn't immediately assume she did something wrong. She understands that his behavior is a reflection of him, not a definition of her. That emotional stability is what makes her stand out. It creates a sense of calm confidence that is rare and incredibly attractive. Self-worth also protects your energy. When you know your value, you don't invest deeply into someone who is inconsistent or unsure about you. You don't pour your time and emotions into a situation that isn't growing. Instead, you become selective. You give your energy where it is reciprocated, appreciated, and respected. And here's something important. Self-worth makes your absence powerful, because when someone knows you respect yourself enough to walk away, they also know that losing you is a real possibility. That's where emotional impact comes from. Not from begging someone to stay, but from being strong enough to leave when you are not valued. But building self-worth takes honesty. It means being real with yourself about what you've been accepting and why. It means breaking patterns of overgiving, overthinking, and overchasing. It means choosing yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. And once you reach that point, everything changes. You stop seeking validation from the wrong places. You stop settling for half-hearted effort. You stop fearing loss because you know losing the wrong person is not a loss at all. In the end, self-worth is your foundation. It shapes your choices, your standards, and your relationships. And when that foundation is strong, you don't need tricks or tactics to make someone value you. They either see it or they don't get access to you.